What's going on, beautiful internet family? My name is Dan Davis and I'm extremely excited to test out the new waypoints feature for the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 3 Classic. I'm testing it out on the Mavic 3, so I've got this controller here, which a lot of you would probably have this set up here. It does also work with the DJI RC and the Mavic 3 Classic, so you can do really whatever you need to do. You can even use like the RC Pro as well. It's compatible with all versions of the Mavic 3 and Mavic 3 Classic with the different controllers that are available. But I wanted to test it out on this unit because I know a lot of people will have this unit. And as you'll probably notice on the left-hand side here, there is a little icon that you can tap on now, and it's above that launching icon, and that's how we can set up waypoints. Now I am going to show you a few different ways to set up waypoints here. This way here that I've set up, I can actually use the function button, this one here on the front, and I can set waypoints as I go, but the drone has to be in the air, so if I try to press it, it will say aircraft not in flight, unable to add waypoint. But that means that we can actually set waypoints as we're flying around a location, and as we start to notice different things, we can add a waypoint on the fly. But what I'm going to show you first, before I take the drone out and show you that, is I'm going to show you how to set it up when you're at home. So as you can see, I'm just sitting in my room, and I'm going to set up a waypoint like anyone can just by going into the map interface in the bottom left corner. So once I've done that, once I've tapped on that icon, I can then enlarge the map, zoom out a little bit, and I'll go to the location that I want to go, which is over here. Now, if you want to, you can click on this icon and then make it more of a satellite design. Now, this is going to help you with maybe some more landmarks and to be able to see what's in the area. So I prefer this kind of design here. And as I zoom in, I know that I'm going to be taking off from this location here where I've put the pin. So for me, that's great to know. I know that that's where I'm going to be, and then I can zoom out and kind of see the area to plan out my mission. So now that I can see this area here, and I've got the map interface, as you can see, I can tap that waypoint icon now, and this is where I can start adding the different waypoints to create a waypoint mission. Now, it's actually a really intuitive interface. I haven't fully played around with everything just yet, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of had an idea of how to do it before I did this video. But all you have to do is once you've, in the map interface, you've clicked on that waypoint icon, you can just tap somewhere. Now you can see that's added a waypoint. The height is 50 meters, and you can see it's facing pretty much like the most pointless direction it could be facing, which is just out to the ocean. But what I can do is I can customize where I want this waypoint to be looking. So let me just show you. If I go with a point of interest, for example, I know that this little boathouse area here is a pretty cool spot. So I can tap on that, and it's going to add a one with a different color, different kind of icon, so we know that that's the point of interest. But you can see that the heading, the way that this waypoint here is facing, is still the wrong direction. So I can click back on waypoint, press number 1, which is that first waypoint, and you can see it brings up a bunch of different settings here. Now from within this area here, I can click on follow course direction, and I've got a few different options here. So I've got custom, follow course, manual, and point of interest. So if I click on point of interest, it will say aircraft heading and gimbal tilt at selected waypoint will be automatically adjusted to face point of interest. So boom, I will press that, and now you can see it's added the direction towards that building there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a really basic waypoint mission here. So I'm going to try to, you can press and drag to move certain things around. I know that 50 meters is going to probably be too high, and this is where the benefit comes in, where you're actually on site, like in the location, because you can test out the framing and make sure that everything's set up perfectly. This way here, there might be a little bit of trial and error, so we'll see how it all turns out. But I'm just going to add another little point here, which is actually not in the right spot, so I can press and drag that, and it'll move me to that location. I'll add another point here, and you can see that it's added now like a bend. So that's something I'm really keen to see how well it goes around corners, continuing on that waypoint, because that's something I've tested with other waypoint planners, and it hasn't been the smoothest experience. So I'm keen to see if DJI have really optimized those kind of movements. I'm then going to get the drone to come in front, and then we're just going to get it to come off to the side here where I'm going to be sitting with my controller. So you can see only one of those points is looking over at the number 1, but instead of me having to manually go through every single one, I can just tap on one, create like the global settings, and then there's an apply to all section here. So what I'm going to do is, before I set up the camera action, because that's where you can choose if you want to take the photo, start recording or stop recording, I'll leave that on none because I don't want it to start recording at every single point in case that ruins the mission. But I will make the altitude 30 meters. That's the legal height I can be at, but also it's not going to be too high in the air, obviously. So that's one thing to do there. I've got the camera action and whatnot, but before I do that, I'm just going to press apply all, and you'll see that nothing changed. So what I'll do is I'll click on gimbal tilt 1, point of interest. There we go. So now I've applied it to all. So you can now see that all of those headings are now pointing towards that point of interest. They're all at 30 meters in height, or 30.2 meters in height. So now I've pretty much set up a mission relatively easily, right? So what I can do is I can click on, well, I'm already on waypoint 1. You can see I can go between the different waypoints here and customize each setting. But if I'm just on waypoint 1 here, I'll make the camera action to start record. And you can see we get that little record icon there, which is really nice. I actually really like the interface. It's clean. And then I'm going to make waypoint 5 where it stops recording. So there we can see another little icon popped up. So now I can just go back, minimize that down, and you can see I've made a very, very basic waypoint here. But what I'm doing is I'm just getting it to go around and then come back down just to see the movement of the drone when I actually launch the drone and start this mission. So we can see now the duration is going to be 2 minutes and the distance is 312 meters. So it gives us some basic information there. I can now also save it with this little like paper icon here. So that's my mission there. You can see I'm going to delete this one because I don't need that one. So you can literally swipe across, delete that one. And then this is the one we want. You can also rename it if you really want to. I'm just going to keep it as that for now. There we go. I think it's saved 2 versions. Oh no, it hasn't. There we go. So now we can see that mission. That's in the task library. So I can launch that mission at any point. So if you're, you know, in like agriculture or real estate or something where you want to see like the change of something, you want to see maybe the seasons change the way that the kind of landscape looks, or maybe something's being built and you want to see the growth, the evolution of that building, that's where it's really handy to save these missions and then replicate them. But it also just creates a whole dynamic kind of creative tool for people. So you can create unique shots and repeatable waypoint missions without having to worry about slight adjustments in the way that you're inputting into the controller. You know, as you're moving up or down, that's going to slightly adjust things, but this is going to keep it set and standardized. Okay, so that's now our first little setup there. Like I said before, I can click on each individual waypoint and I can adjust a bunch of options. There's even an option here to manually zoom as well. So I can get it to go, I can get it to zoom as it's going to each point, which is pretty cool. That's something I'll play around with maybe a little bit later, just in case it impacts on this. So we'll leave that as now. The hover settings, you can make it hover as well at different waypoints if you really want to. You've got the global speed setting here as well. So I can adjust the global speed setting if I want to. I can go into custom, see that it's already set at 2.5 meters per second. For some reason, even though I've got it in kilometers at the moment, it's not updating it in this new waypoint interface. So hopefully that will be fixed in the future. But I can click on these 3 dots here in this little waypoint section, and that's where I can set up the global setting. So now if I drag this, let's say we make it, I don't know, let's make it, what, 5.8 meters per second. When the signal's lost, if it is lost, it's going to return to home. At the end of the flight, it's going to return to home, and it's going to start at point number 1. So they're the like global settings that you can adjust, very basic, but nice and handy. So now if I click on number 3, you can see the global speed setting should be, no, it hasn't been updated. I see, because if I go custom, it's going to put it back to the default. If I leave it on global speed, then it's going to be the global speed, which is 5.8 meters per second. One more thing I want to do here is actually adjust the point of interest parameters. So if I tap on that point of interest, you can see that I've only got 2 settings here, not too many settings, but I want to make that altitude a little lower, because what's going to happen is the drone's going to think that whatever it is that we're looking at is 50 meters in the air. Now I know that this is a building, I know that it's relatively low to the ground, so I'm going to try to make that, and see this is a guess here, which is where you're going to benefit from actually going out to the field and setting up your waypoints. but I'm just going to say 14.5 meters because I know the drone's 30 meters in the air. I want it to look down a little bit. So half of that, hopefully it's going to kind of come down on an angle and check out the building as it's going by it. Again, this could be a complete failure, and that's where you really are going to have to test lots of different things to see what works. But there we go, we've got the point of interest at 14.5 meters, and the linked waypoints are all 5 of them. I can adjust that, as you can see, so I can just make it 1, 2, 3, 4, or I can make it all of them. I can remove 2. Like, you've got a fair bit of control here, which is really nice. But as I click back into point of interest again, and click on that icon, you can see that has updated now. So it's 14.5 meters of altitude. So now I've got everything set up ready to go for this mission. You can see I can press next and then press go, and it's going to start doing its mission. We don't want that to happen because I'm inside right now, but that's as simple as it is to set up a mission. You can see how simple it is. I can now click on here to make sure it's all saved, and now that mission is ready to go, ready to launch, and it's as simple as that to set up a mission. And like I said, there are a bunch of different little nuances within each setting where you can play around with different things. You can even make it take photos at each point if you want more of a time-lapse effect, or if you want to see the change of something as it's happening almost in real time, I guess, which is quite handy as well. And you can add a bunch of different waypoints and customize all the settings here, which is really cool. So we're going to go out and test this mission, and then I'm going to create a few more missions while I'm on the field and talk you through what that looks like. Alright, so now I've launched the drone, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to load up the waypoint mission that we planned while I was at home. So all I have to do is load up the mission here, and you'll see my drone is right here, this little blue icon, and this is the starting point at point 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to press next, and I'm going to press go, and then from here the drone is going to start its little mission. You can see it's flying away now. It's going to its first waypoint, and we can watch it here. I'm putting no inputs into the controller, it's just doing its own thing. You can see the little display of how long it's been going for, what waypoint we're up to, and yeah, how long's left of the mission as well. So now it's started recording without me doing anything. And this is where I'm really curious to see how it goes, going from waypoint to waypoint, how smooth that's going to look. That's something that hopefully DJI are really going to nail here with this waypoint planner. Based on what I can see right now, it's doing a really good job. It's at 30 meters. I've got a really good speed actually going. I'm happy that I've chosen the speed that I've gone with because it's smooth, but it's not too slow that it's like jarring or, you know, awkward. So now it's actually going around a bit more of a bend here. Wow, it actually looks super smooth as it's doing its thing. I can now see I'm up to waypoint 2. It's about to hit waypoint 3, and this is where it's now going to come along. And wow, it actually looks insanely smooth as it's doing this. I actually set this up nicely. I think I set it at, what, 15 meters for the point of interest, and the drone's at 30 meters. And that's actually perfect. Damn, look at that. I'll review the footage back in a sec once we get to the final waypoint, which is where it's going to automatically stop recording. So we're getting pretty close now. And there we go, final waypoint. And it stopped recording. And it's going to return to home. I'm going to cancel that just because I want it to hover for a bit. But that actually looked flawless. So let's watch this back now that we've got the video. Oh yeah. Damn. This looks remarkable. Like I said earlier on, I've tested a bunch of different waypoint planners, and I was excited to see what DJI could do, because I know more of an in-house development would, you would imagine, create a smoother shot. But look at this, as the boat's coming in, I've got my waypoint set up, and it's just doing its own thing. It looks remarkably smooth, like super impressed with this. Let's see how it goes up here as it comes around the bend. Yeah, that looks so cool. That is amazing. Let's get right to the end. I like that revealing shot where you can kind of see the lighthouse, hopefully, at the end here. Let's see as it kind of angles around. And you can see the point at the end there with the lighthouse. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Cool, so that was a flawless flight. You can see I set that up at home, came out to the location, loaded up the mission, and that was as simple as, couldn't have asked for an easier process really. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up a brand new mission. So I'm going to disable that, exit without saving. I'm going to load up, and now this is where I'm going to show you how to actually set up waypoints on the fly. So basically you just get to a spot, whichever spot you want to get to, and then you would press the FN button, or if you're using the DJI RC, you would press the C1 button. Now that I'm here, all I do, press that FN button, and you can see it's added a waypoint for me. So now I'm going to put it in sports mode just to get to my next spot. I've kept it at 30 meters. So this is going to be my next waypoint here. Let's just stop. That's my next waypoint there. We're going to kind of come around on a bit of an angle. See how it performs as it comes around on this side angle here. There's another waypoint, and then I'm going to get it to come over on this side here. Now I haven't put any other additional parameters in, like obviously you can customize everything you want, but this is literally just me setting it up on the fly. So I'm just literally going to have the 4 waypoints, and now I'm going to execute that mission. I might make the global speed a bit faster this time, so let's go up to like 7.6 meters per second, and now I press go. You can see we've got 0 of 4 waypoints. So what it's doing is the drone is now flying back to that initial waypoint that I've got here. You can see the heading of each waypoint is facing the direction that the drone was facing. Obviously I could set up that point of interest again if I really wanted to, but I actually don't need to here because I've set it up in a way that I've done a quick on-the-fly waypoint mission. So it's going to go back to this spot. I've got it at 30 meters height for each waypoint. Again, like you can customize all of this. Apparently the 4th waypoint's 31 meters. Oh, I actually didn't set this one up, so it's not going to start recording at point 1 purely because I didn't set that up. So I'm going to actually start pressing record now. There we go, so now it's recording, as you can see on the right side. Again, I didn't set up that parameter, so you had to manually do it. But you can see it's going to the 2nd point, and then this is where I kind of go to the left a little bit to get more of a revealing shot. And with other like third-party apps, as I've tested these kind of movements, I've found that it can be a bit juttery, or the movement's just a little bit awkward. But what I'm seeing here is the smoothest waypoint mission I have ever seen, and I'm sure it's only going to get better with time. They're going to add more features. This is something I'm really excited about. I'm glad that DJI have done this, and it just opens up a whole new play field for pilots. Damn, so look at that. That was immediately done, did its job. When it hits point 4, I'm imagining it's going to return to home. It's not going to stop recording because I haven't set that parameter, but let's see what happens here. There we go. So now it's returning to home. I can stop recording. I can remove that waypoint interface. We're going to exit without saving just because that was one I was doing on the fly. And you can see it's literally just returning to me. From here I can obviously cancel it if I really want to. I'm just going to wait for it to get a little bit closer to me, and then let's review that little video. So I'm just going to stop it there. And now if we look at that video that I just captured, again, remember this was done within a matter of seconds. I set up this basic waypoint mission, and it's just following on a path. Like I could have got it to go right to the end and then turn around and come back. I could have done all of that, and you know, it's really not that hard to do, which is amazing, but you have so much control over exactly what happens. But this right here, this footage is insane. Like, look how smooth this is. This is amazing. This is something you definitely don't get out of a lot of the third-party offerings. So having an in-house waypoint planner for a DJI drone is something I've wanted for a very long time, and they've done an amazing job. I'm definitely going to revisit this and do some more content on the channel, so let me know your thoughts, and hopefully this has helped you figure out how to use waypoints for your Mavic 3 and your Mavic 3 Classic. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll chat to you in the next one, and peace out.